I watched my wife laugh like I was furniture. Not polite laugh. Not old friends catching up. I mean the kind of laugh that comes from inside your chest. Loud, careless, shameless. Like the world is safe and you're exactly where you want to be. And she wasn't looking at me once. We were sitting at Café Linden, the only decent place in our little town where people pretend they're not watching you while they absolutely are. My wife, Kara, had chosen the table near the window. She always liked being seen when she dressed like that. Hair curled, lipstick perfect, perfume that cost more than my work boots. And across from her sat Dylan Reese. Her ex. The one she swore was ancient history. The one she said was immature. The one she once described as a mistake she survived. But the way she leaned toward him, like gravity didn't apply, told me something simple. Some mistakes don't die. They just wait. I didn't even know he'd be there. Kara told me it was just brunch, and asked me to come because I want you two to finally be cool. It'll be healthy. Healthy. Yeah. Dylan was wearing that confident smile men get when they think they've already won. Clean haircut. White teeth. A watch that screamed money he didn't earn. He stood when we walked up, hand out like he was greeting a client. "Man," he said, gripping my hand a little too hard, "I've heard so much about you." I looked at his hand like it was dirty. Kara giggled, actually giggled, like a teenage girl. And that's when I felt it. That sharp, ugly sting in the chest that only hits when you realize you're not just being disrespected. You're being replaced right in front of your face. He told a story. She laughed. He nudged her elbow. She touched his wrist. He said something low, and she bit her lip like she used to when she wanted attention. I sat there and watched my wife flirt with her ex like I didn't exist. And I swear to God, it was like she wanted me to see it. Like she wanted me to feel small. Finally I leaned in, voice calm. "Kara." She didn't even look at me. I'm not doing this. Now she looked. And her eyes had that cold shine I hadn't seen in years. The one that said, "You don't get to tell me what to do." Dylan smirked into his coffee like he was watching a show. "Kara," I said, "this is disrespectful. If you want to meet him, meet him. But not like this. Not in my face." She blinked twice, like she couldn't believe I had the nerve. Then she leaned back in her chair and said it. "You're being insecure." Insecure. Like my boundaries were a character flaw. I looked at Dylan. He didn't even pretend to be polite. So I stood. "Let's go." Kara's smile vanished for half a second. Then came back sharper. "No." One word. No explanation. No apology. Just no. And then she did the thing that changed everything. She leaned forward, voice quiet but cutting. "If you don't like it, leave." I looked at her. Really looked. And I realized something I should have realized a long time ago. A woman who respects you doesn't test how much you'll tolerate. So I nodded once. "Okay." I dropped cash on the table for my coffee. Not hers. Not his. Mine. And I walked out. Behind me, I heard her laugh, light and cruel, like I was the joke. That night, she didn't come home until after midnight. No call. No text. No excuse. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, listening to the quiet of our house and feeling something settle in my bones. Not anger. Clarity. This wasn't a mistake. This was a pattern. Over the past few months there had been little things. Brunch. Coffee. Quick catch-up. Dylan's name popping up like a bad smell that wouldn't leave. And every time I tried to talk, Kara turned it back on me. "You're paranoid. You're controlling. You're overreacting." Classic. You don't defend your marriage anymore. You defend your behavior. She came into the bedroom smelling like a cologne I didn't own and perfume she only wore when she wanted to be noticed. She slid into bed and said, like nothing happened, "Are you still mad?" I turned my head. "No." She relaxed. Because she thought, no, meant I gave up. But it didn't. It meant I decided. The next morning, I didn't yell. I didn't beg. I didn't accuse. I did something else. I called a lawyer. Not a detective. Not a friend. Not my brother. A lawyer. Because I didn't need to catch her. I needed to protect myself. Her name was Evelyn Hart, and she had the kind of voice that didn't comfort you, it organized you. Do you share accounts? She asked. Yes. Property. A house. Any kids? No. Good, she said immediately, like she meant it. Then she paused. What proof do you have? I took a breath. I watched her flirt with him like I was nothing.
Evelyn didn't laugh. That's not proof in court, she said, but it's proof in life. Here's what we do. We document money, spending, trips, changes. We build a timeline. And we move quietly. Quietly. That word became my new religion. For the next 2 weeks, I became a ghost in my own marriage. Kara kept going to brunch. Every Friday, like clockwork. And every Friday she came home brighter, lighter, like she had been fed something I couldn't give her. Respect, attention, thrill, whatever it was. She didn't even hide it anymore. One Friday, she came home humming, like she'd just come back from a vacation. I waited until she put her purse down. Kara, I said. She looked up. What? We need to talk about Dylan. She rolled her eyes so hard I thought they'd fall out. Oh my God. You're still on that? Yes. She smirked. And then she said the sentence that made my hands go cold. You don't own me. I stared. I never said I did. She stepped closer, voice low. You want to know the truth? Dylan understands me. He always did. You're just safe. Safe. That's what she thought I was. A place to sleep. A house. A routine. A predictable man who'd swallow disrespect to keep peace. She turned away like the conversation was over. And I realized she wasn't just cheating emotionally. She was rewriting the story where I was the villain. So I stopped talking. And I started moving. On the third Friday, Kara left for brunch wearing the red dress she never wore for me. The second her car disappeared down the street, I loaded my truck. Not furniture. Not drama. Just essentials. Documents. Tools. Clothes. Anything that mattered. I'd already signed a lease on a small place on the edge of town, above a tire shop, noisy and ugly. But it was mine. And before I left, I placed a single envelope on the kitchen counter. Her name on it. Inside were the divorce papers. No long letter. No screaming. No begging. Just papers. And one sentence on a sticky note. You told me to leave. So I did. Then I locked the door and vanished. She came home later that afternoon. I know because my phone started ringing like a fire alarm. Kara. Kara again. Then texts. Where are you? This isn't funny. Answer me now. I didn't. I let her feel the silence she had been feeding me for months. That evening, Evelyn called. Your wife has a lawyer, she said. Already. She's panicking. She wants to control the narrative before it controls her. I smiled for the first time in weeks. Because I knew something Kara didn't. Dylan wasn't single. He had a wife. And Kara had no idea. Because Dylan didn't love her. He loved the game. The next day, Evelyn sent me one text. Check your email. I opened it. A forwarded message from Dylan's wife. Screenshots. Photos. Hotel receipts. Messages Kara didn't even try to hide. And at the bottom, one line. He told me your wife is nobody. But I think you deserve to know. I didn't feel rage. I felt calm. Because now it wasn't my word. It was his wife's proof. Kara showed up at my job site Monday morning. Hair messy. Eyes red. That expensive coat thrown on like armor. She marched right up to me with that familiar anger, like I was the one who did something wrong. You left me, she snapped. I wiped my hands, slow. You told me to. I didn't mean it like that. Oh, I said softly. How did you mean it? She stared, breathing hard. Then she tried a different angle. Sweet voice, trembling. Can we just talk? I nodded once. Sure. Her face brightened like she thought she'd won. Then I reached into my jacket and handed her the divorce papers. Again, in case she pretended she never saw them.
Her eyes scanned the first page. Then she laughed. A short, ugly laugh. "This is pathetic," she said. "You can't prove anything." I looked at her like she was still learning who I was. And I said the line that finally cracked her face in half. "I don't need to." Her laughter slowed. I stepped closer, voice calm. "His wife already did." That's when it happened. Her smile didn't just vanish. It collapsed. Like her whole body forgot how to hold it. "What?" she whispered. I watched her brain race, trying to calculate. "How? What wife?" she stammered. I pulled out my phone and showed her the screenshots. The hotel receipts. The messages. The proof. She went pale. Because suddenly she wasn't the chooser anymore. She was the side story. And the worst part? She realized she had humiliated me publicly. For a man who had a wife the whole time. "Kara," I said quietly, "you didn't destroy me." She blinked, lips shaking. "You destroyed yourself." A week later, Dylan's wife filed. 2 weeks later, Dylan disappeared. Left town, deleted socials, vanished like a coward. And Kara? Kara tried to come back. Tried apologies. Tried tears. Tried, "I made a mistake." But it wasn't a mistake. It was a decision she made over and over. Every laugh, every touch, every time she looked at me like I was nothing. And when she finally realized the consequences were real, it was too late. Because the truth does something brutal. It doesn't shout. It just stands there. And you can't unsee it. She told me to leave. So I did. And what happened next destroyed her life forever. Not because I yelled. Not because I fought. Not because I begged. Because I walked away with my dignity. And she stayed behind with her lies.